So I asked the question in the Hitless Streets. I was like, what do Knicks fans honestly think about Julius Randle? So I got a little bit of mixed reactions. We got some fans who like him, some people who believe he's not the leader that they need to get them to the promised land. Some people are still, I guess, don't think he could lead them to a playoff series from when they 3 years ago against Atlanta. So there's a lot of things here about Julius Randle. A lot of people, I feel like they're still in their emotions about it, given the fact that he's got the Knicks here. He got them to a playoff series not 3 years ago. He had an off year last year. So a lot of mixed reactions, Mike, in the streets. I know, Ziggy, I told you to go read it. But, Mike, let me start with you. What are your thoughts on is Julius Randle that guy for the Knicks?
Well, that guy, what's underneath and what's implicit in that question and why the person was probably angry was not necessarily last year, but the year before that, when in the playoffs. So that guy is a question about your championship aspirations. It's not about can you win regular season games in February and March. It's do you believe that Julius Randle can be your cornerstone piece to winning a championship? And based on what we've seen so far, the answer is no. But what is it? Julius Randle's, I think it's his 7th or 8th year. So he's at that point where you start to now say, is this just who he is? So I think we could still give him a year to see, but as of now, based on what we have seen, the answer is no.
Ziggs, what are your thoughts? I've had an observation, and I hate to, and people are going to kill me for saying, but I'm just saying based off my observation, it seems like, a lot of the white fans that I've spoke to are kind of just like, with Julius Randle. And the black fans are kind of just like, okay, like they know who he is, that they've accepted his game. I don't know if anyone has seen that as well either. But Ziggs, what are your thoughts here?
For me personally, that's something that I've always asked that question about Julius Randle, even dating back to when he was playing with Anthony Davis in New Orleans. Where does he fit? And I think that's his best ceiling for me, that second guy on the team that's going to be able to get you your points. Listen, the man is a double machine. You know what I mean? So once he got to New Orleans, his game has improved every season. So I don't know how can you sit here and dislike this guy. I mean, like Mike said, and somebody said it in the chat as well. In that same thread, Carly, person said, I don't know who it was, but the person said, hey, listen, I dig everything that he's doing, but for me personally, that playoff run will always stick out to me in my mind. That Atlanta Hawks, that team that we ran up against, the way he played is probably the reason why so many people are still like, you have to somehow show some kind of like, well, not somehow, but you have to prove that you can do it in the playoffs, because we only got one game against Atlanta. Julius Randle, I'm happy to have him. I mean, I like this Julius Randle. Last year, he regressed tremendously. He was fighting with the media. He's come back this year. He stepped his game up even better. And Jalen Brunson coming on the team has opened his game up a lot more. He's not holding the ball. He's not hogging the ball. He's not being a black hole like Zach Randolph used to be when he used to get the ball in the post. He's kicking it out. He's passing it. I don't see why people are hating him like that. If you're saying he's the number one guy, then I'm going to say you're crazy. But if you're saying he's a number 2 or even a number 3, if you got a solid 1A and a 1B, then I will agree with that. I'm not mad at it. I like Julius Randle's game. If you want to talk about anybody on the New York Knicks, it's that man named RJ Barrett, but that's for another day.
Yeah, I saw that too. But
that's what it comes down.
Yeah. Ben Delgado wrote, he said Julius Randle's a good player. He's been all NBA as a nigga. He keeps up this play, he will again. But he said he has his flaws. He said that he defaults to ISO ball, makes plays that you just shake your head at. He probably needs to be a number 2 alongside a more dominant player. Yeah. While Brunson is more dominant player, it does show that the right pieces around Julius can make for a much more success result, even with Julius as our number 1. So
listen, the Knicks, my bad, Mike. I'll just say this real quick. The Knicks are doing what they're supposed to do, and Julius Randle's leading the way. They're beating the bad teams.
Yeah,
the streak that they're on,
you could ask for
a bunch of bad teams that they're just beating, and they're supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. You heard the Knicks fan Zig say it. When you're saying, is he that guy? You're asking, is he that guy to be your number 1 cornerstone piece to win you a championship? And so far, that answer can't be yes. It has to be no. I just saw it. This is his 9th year. So we're already at that point where most players, you are who you are. So I think at this point, we're pretty much understanding Julius Randle could be a great number 2, but you do need someone else because it's taken both of those 2 seasons in it together. It's the fact that they failed in the playoffs when they were the higher seed, and he followed it up by regressing, as Zig said. So all of those things combined, you can't be the number 1 guy.
You went from the 4th seed in the playoffs to not even making the playoffs the next year. That's not good.
Yeah, and I think last year had to deal with a lot in terms of, I think Julius said himself wasn't there last year.
Arguing with the fans, arguing with media.
Arguing with the fans, arguing the media, and teams found out how to guard him. That's what it was. So now with Jalen Brunson there, you have more free range.